Today we'll be looking at the Bandai 2002 reissue at the 1/55th scale VF-1S Valkyrie from Super Dimensional Fortress Macross, aka the first part of Robotech for some people. This particular variant of the VF-1S is in Roy Focker's color scheme, and I'm pretty sure it's also the only version of the VF-1S that you actually see in the original anime. So here it is in fighter mode, and it looks pretty nice, especially with all the Skull Squadron detailing and all the pre-applied decals, which I heard wasn't the case with the 1982 release, which was strangely released under Hikaru's name, so way to spoil the show. So here I bring out my VF-1J in Hikaru's color scheme, and I'll have to mention that unfortunately my VF-1S is badly sun damaged. The VF-1S should be the same shade of gray as the VF-1J, and as you see, mine clearly isn't, and it's more towards some yellowish gray. But I'm still going to look at the VF-1S instead, since one, I prefer the VF-1S since it's my second favorite mecha design of all time, next to the Zeta Gundam, of course. And two, I also prefer Roy over Hikaru. Also, I'll have to mention that in this review, I would not be looking at the super parts, as I do not have the super parts and I don't plan on getting them since I think they look kind of dumb, and even in the anime I thought they were kind of a bit too situational. So, sorry about that. Anyways, yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about the fighter mode. It looks great, and I don't know what else to say about it. This looks really nice. So on to gerwalk mode. The transformation, while being somewhat involved, isn't anything too complicated, though you have to be careful with the tail fins and especially with the arms. And here you can see me struggling with the landing gear. Now for this part, you're going to want to make sure you move the antenna up, and I don't think you have to do that for the VF-1A, but for the VF-1S and VF-1J, it's mandatory. For some reason, I see people wanting to turn the head entirely when they transform it, but really all I have to do is move the antenna up. And this is something I learned from a YouTuber named Transformer and Power Ranger Toy Reviews. You're going to want to leave the arms at an angle when you're transforming this thing into gerwalk mode. And it's to avoid stressing the plastic, since the legs will be pushing up against them and you put them on perpendicularly. So there it is in gerwalk mode. Certainly not anywhere near as cool as the way it looks in the anime, but it still gets the job done rather well. So I guess it's time for me to talk about a gun clip piece that everybody seems to be missing from the Jetfire release of this figure, which I neglected to mention this entire review so far. But yeah, contrary to popular belief, you can't actually use the gun clip to store the gun pod into the Valkyrie in fighter mode, sadly, since there's not enough clearance for the arms, and it's really just meant to be clipped on the arm upside down like that. And for some reason, people keep thinking it's some sort of arm mount thingy, so we can have some sort of fusion Megatron cannon thingy. But in the anime, that's not the case, and I think this probably goes to show just how many people with G1 Jetfire actually know about Macross / Robotech. Since there's not much else to say about the gerwalk mode, it's time to transform this thing into Battroid mode. So you're going to want to replace the cockpit canopy with the heat shield, and I'm pretty sure the only version of the Valkyrie you have to do this with is probably with the VF-1J in terms of the reissues. I'm not sure exactly how it worked on the previous releases, because I know the 90s reissue had some sort of clip-on thing. Besides that, the transformation, just like to gerwalk mode, Battroid mode's transformation isn't anything too complicated, though. Again, you want to be careful with the arms, and this time I also advise being careful with the giant chest plate, just because it does feel kind of flimsy. And there you have Battroid mode. Surprisingly, this Valkyrie is really poseable for something from 1982. The head turns and there's pretty good arm movement, but unfortunately legs are kind of limited, which isn't too surprising, but you can still get a few good running poses with this thing. So for size comparisons, here it is next to an SD of the original Gundam. Here it is next to Generation 1 Optimus Prime, albeit a reissue, and then I knock its fist off, as always. Here it is next to a Marvel Legends modular Iron Man, a high-graded original Gundam, a mass-graded original Gundam, specifically the version 2.0, and here it is next to the VF-1J in Hikaru's color scheme. And as you can see, the VF-1J has a completely different head sculpt as it only has 2 head lasers as opposed to the VF-1S's 4 head lasers, which is because the VF-1S is meant for commanders, while the VF-1J is just meant for ace pilots. And Roy is indeed the commander, while Hikaru is just a somewhat decent pilot, I guess. Last but not least, here it is next to the DX Shogoken VF-1S, aka what I consider nearly perfection. Now, don't get me wrong, I still consider the 82 Valkyrie here a really good rendition of it, especially considering it's an 80s toy. So, in conclusion, no matter which variant it is, I believe any variant of the 1/55th scale VF1 from Takatoku or Bandai is a great toy, and I highly recommend it to any fans of Macross or Robotech or even Transformers for those of you wanting to get the Jetfire variant. And I guess I'll finally go into the fiasco with Jetfire since we're near the end of the video. So in short, Hasbro bought the rights to use this mold as Jetfire, and because it's being sold as Jetfire, Matchbox wasn't allowed to sell any variant of this mold as the Veritech from Robotech, which I'm sure definitely pleased a lot of people. Yeah, so as of today, there's still no Robotech release of this mold. But that's not my problem. But yeah, this Valkyrie is probably my favorite 80s transforming toy of all time. And I guess if you want to find this thing, be prepared to spend a lot on it. Unfortunately, every variant of this mold is over $100, but I'm sure with enough hunting, you guys can probably find one. So yeah, this has been my very first review on YouTube, and feel free to leave any comments to let me know what I could improve on and any criticisms you guys may have. And thanks for watching. Take care.